Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about Offset and Quavo. So let me tell y'all what happened, okay?
I'm just letting y'all know what's gonna happen next. Well, we're gonna get a divorce. People are gonna be mad nosy.
I don't consider that we're back together because the answer of getting back together is not a good night at the club and the night.
On October 6, 2025, the world finally heard from Cardi B. In her own words, she sat down for a rare, intimate interview on In Focus with Jay Stone, a show known for pulling raw emotion out of even the most guarded guests. What followed was one of the most talked about conversations of the year, an honest, unfiltered look at heartbreak, fame, and the complicated ways money can twist both. Cara spoke softly at first, her voice steady but heavy. She described what life had felt like in Los Angeles after the separation from her husband, Oren. No friends nearby, no family in the same city, just silence, long nights, and memories she couldn't quite escape. She admitted she'd promised herself not to call him, not to text him, not to give in. But like many people learning to let go, she sometimes found herself right back in the same cycle, hoping things might be different. Paused gentle piano music for a while. She believed they could fix things. Then came the turning point. Cara said that the effort to repair their marriage brought her more pressure, not less. According to her, Oren refused to finalize the divorce unless she agreed to cover several shared debts, pay a portion of his taxes, and even sign over a property they once lived in together. She didn't shout when she explained it. She simply said, "It's strange when love turns into a list of conditions. You start to wonder what you're really fighting for." Her words lit up social media within minutes. Some viewers sympathized, calling her story a reflection of what happens when relationships mix love with business. Others questioned whether it was fair to discuss private financial issues on camera. But one thing was clear: people were listening. Behind the scenes, both sides had their own stories. Oren's circle hinted that things weren't as simple as Cara made them seem. They suggested she was painting herself as a victim while hiding how controlling she could be when money was involved. Her team stayed quiet, letting the internet debate for them. By the end of that week, the interview had been streamed over 20 million times. What might have been
them together. Like, they're both genuinely good people. But in any relationship, it's never easy. There's ups and downs, and especially when you have artists like he's on the road, she's on the road, she's working. I hope they work it out. But anything comes into play, especially when somebody's pregnant. It's a lot. It's a lot on a woman. It's another body. So I don't know if that's the reason, if it's something else, but I hope they get a chance, and I hope they do work it out if it's meant to be. Like I said, they are both genuinely
healing
good.
Conversation had become a cultural talking point. What happens when two people who built an empire together fall apart in public? Then came the whispers, the ones that spread like wildfire without anyone knowing where they started. Some online accounts claimed that Cara was moving on, possibly seeing another celebrity athlete. Others insisted it was just speculation fueled by paparazzi photos. The truth never came out, but the rumor itself was enough to reignite tension. Oren didn't address it directly. But a few days later, he posted a short message on his social feed: "When people play with my kid online, don't expect me to stay calm." The message was vague, but everyone assumed it was about Cara. It didn't take long for fans to choose sides, dissecting every lyric, every tweet, every look exchanged in old photos. Suddenly, what had once been a private breakup became a full-blown public feud. To understand why emotions ran so high, you have to go back to the beginning. Before Cardi B became the global star she is today, she was still learning the ropes of the entertainment business. She was loud, funny, fearless, but also inexperienced. Producers and managers saw potential, but many took advantage of her early on, offering small deals that didn't match her growing influence. Then Oren entered the picture. He was already an established artist, confident and connected. People close to Cara say he helped her navigate the industry, showing her how contracts worked, who to trust, and how to protect her earnings. Together, they became one of music's power couples, bold, stylish, unpredictable, and endlessly talked about. But power couples, history shows, rarely last without friction. When both partners are ambitious and independent, even small disagreements can become storms. As Cara's fame exploded, she started to feel boxed in. Oren, on the other hand, began to feel overshadowed. The partnership that once fueled their rise eventually turned into competition. After the split, the money talk started. Some insiders said Oren wanted fair compensation for what he helped build. Others saw it differently, claiming he was trying to benefit from Cara's success. The truth probably lived somewhere in between. And here's where the story touches something bigger than celebrity gossip. It reflects a modern shift happening everywhere, how the roles of power and money in relationships are changing. For decades, men were often the financial backbone of families. Now, more women are the higher earners, and that dynamic can create new kinds of tension. When a woman reaches global success, it doesn't just change her life, it can challenge the traditional expectations of her partner. Oren may have once been the teacher, but somewhere along the way, Kara became the brand. And that's when pride and love began pulling in opposite directions. Fans online started asking questions no one wanted to answer. Should a partner who helped shape your career be compensated after a breakup? Is financial support fair? Or is it revenge in disguise? In one viral post, a fan wrote, "If he stood by her during the come up, he deserves something. But if he's using her success as a paycheck, that's wrong." Another replied, "They both played the game. Now they're paying the price." The internet turned the couple's pain into a global conversation about gender, power, and independence. And in a way, that might be why Kara's interview resonated so deeply. It wasn't just about her. It was about everyone who's ever loved someone and then had to untangle love from obligation. As the months passed, both moved forward in different ways. Kara channeled her energy into new music and philanthropy.
The internet always causes unnecessary problems, unnecessary disagreements, unnecessary things. Because a lot of the stuff on the internet and on the line isn't true. So I would just say they need to have that conversation, a real conversation. I'm not leaving this room until it's done. And those are the toughest conversations. When your wife wants to have a conversation, those are the toughest things because you got to put everything on the table. That's the only way something's going to work. Everything has to go on the table for you to possibly be able to move on. And I'm hoping that they can have that.
Speaking openly about therapy and self-growth, she said she wasn't chasing love anymore. She was chasing peace. Fans noticed a softer tone in her lyrics, less about parties and more about reflection. Oren, meanwhile, stayed active in the studio. He collaborated with rising artists, trying to carve out his own lane again. Some of his songs hinted at heartbreak, others at pride. He never mentioned Kara by name, but the subtext was clear. He felt betrayed, yet still connected to the history they shared. By late 2025, reports suggested that negotiations between them had stalled. Neither wanted to back down. Oren's team claimed he was owed part of the assets they once shared. Kara's side argued that his requests were excessive. No matter how it ended, legally, emotionally, both had already lost something much harder to replace: trust. And that's where this story turns from celebrity drama into something deeply human. Behind the headlines and the luxury, these were two people who once believed in each other, now standing on opposite sides of a legal battle. Their love had been loud, their fights even louder. But in the end, the silence between them said more than any song ever could. Soft music fades and commentators have compared their story to a mirror reflecting the age we live in, an era where private pain becomes public content, where love, money, and fame blend into something almost impossible to separate, and where forgiveness competes with pride in front of millions of watching eyes. Some say Kara and Oren's story is a cautionary tale about mixing business with romance. Others see it as proof that even the strongest love can buckle under pressure when too many people are watching. Whichever way you look at it, it's a reminder that behind every trending headline are two very real hearts trying to heal. Closing narration: relationships built under bright lights rarely fade quietly. When fans have witnessed your first dates, your proposals, and your arguments, every chapter feels like public property. But love isn't content, it's fragile, complicated, and often misunderstood. Maybe, years from now, Kara and Oren will look back and see this as the moment they truly grew apart and finally grew up. Until then, the world will keep watching, guessing, and learning from their story. Because in the end, this isn't just about two celebrities. It's about what happens when love and fame collide and how, sometimes, healing requires walking away while the cameras are still rolling.